But what we'll only see when we see this bubble burst, and again, this bubble's been going 14 years instead of most bubbles 5 to 6. It's been stretched higher, longer, so you'd have to expect a bigger crash than we got in 2008 to 9. So that's where we're at. This thing has got to blow. It's showing signs of topping here. It's having hard time, just barely making new highs. But we've got to see a crash of about 40% to say, bubbles don't end well, and this is the largest and longest bubble. And it's hard for me to fully predict. I have my predictions. I think we're going to see the S&P go down 86% from the top, and the NASDAQ 92%.
In the heart of America's economic landscape, a storm of unprecedented magnitude is no doubt imminent, threatening to unleash a torrent of financial devastation that could dwarf even the most catastrophic crashes of the past. As renowned economist Harry Dent sounds the alarm, his dire predictions paint a picture of an impending economic collapse that could shatter the very foundations of American prosperity and even surpass the severity of the Great Depression. This is not a distant threat or a hypothetical scenario, but a clear and present danger that looms ever closer, casting a long shadow over the financial future of every American. The numbers paint a stark and sobering picture of the vulnerabilities in the U.S. economy. According to the Federal Reserve, the total value of the U.S. stock market reached a staggering $53.8 trillion in the first quarter of 2023, representing a market capitalization to GDP ratio of 195%. This figure far exceeds the long-term average of 86%, suggesting a level of overvaluation that historically precedes major market corrections. Even more alarming is the state of the U.S. housing market. The S&P CoreLogic Case-Shiller U.S. National Home Price Index has risen by over 60% since 2016, from 175.03 to 320 as of April 2024. This rapid appreciation has far outpaced wage growth, with the median home price to median income ratio hitting 8.1 in 2022, compared to a historical average of 3.5 to 4. Such extreme valuations in both stocks and real estate create a precarious situation where even a small economic shock could trigger a cascading collapse. Perhaps most concerning of all is the mounting U.S. national debt, which surpassed $34.55 trillion in April 2024. This represents a debt-to-GDP ratio of over 120%, a level not seen since World War II. The Congressional Budget Office projects that interest payments on this debt could exceed $1 trillion annually by 2029, potentially crowding out other essential government spending and creating a fiscal crisis. In this video, we will hash out Harry Dent's intricate web of economic factors contributing to this looming catastrophe. We'll dissect the alarming overvaluation of the stock market, scrutinize the unsustainable boom in the housing market, and delve into the perilous implications of the skyrocketing national debt. Economist and financial author Harry Dent has cautioned of an impending market crash, which according to him could be more disastrous than the Great Recession. The 71-year-old stressed in an interview with Fox News Digital that the market steadiness is misleading because stocks finished higher in May. The everything bubble hasn't burst yet, but Dent insisted that when it does, it would be the crash of a lifetime. To understand the gravity of Harry Dent's predictions, it's crucial to examine the background of his economic analysis and the factors that have led him to forecast such a severe downturn. Dent's approach is rooted in demographic and cyclical analysis, focusing on long-term trends that he believes drive economic booms and busts. Harry Dent is a Harvard-educated economist and best-selling author who gained prominence in the 1980s for his accurate prediction of the Japanese asset bubble collapse. He has since made a career out of forecasting major economic and market trends, often taking contrarian positions that challenge mainstream economic thinking. Dent's methodology centers on the idea that demographic shifts, particularly the spending patterns of different generations, are the primary drivers of long-term economic cycles. His current predictions of an imminent economic crash stem from his belief that the U.S. economy is at the confluence of several negative trends. He argues that the baby boomer generation, which has been the engine of consumer spending for decades, is now entering retirement and reducing its consumption. This demographic shift, combined with what he sees as unsustainable bubbles in stocks, real estate and government debt, forms the basis of his forecast for major economic contraction. According to Dent, the stock market is poised for a catastrophic collapse that could see significant indices lose 80% or more of their value. He points to historical patterns, noting that the current bull market, which began in 2009, is one of the longest in history and has been fueled largely by unprecedented monetary stimulus from the Federal Reserve. Dent argues that this stimulus has created artificial demand and inflated asset prices to unsustainable levels. If Dent's predictions about the stock market were to materialize, the implications for the average American would be severe and far-reaching. A crash of this magnitude would wipe out trillions of dollars in household wealth, with devastating consequences for retirement savings, pension funds, and individual investors. Gallup finds that 61% of Americans report that they own stock, based on its April Economy and Personal Finance survey. This is up from the 56% measured in 2021 and 55% measured in 2020, and is the highest it has been since 2008. Stock ownership averaged 62% between 2001 and 2008, but it fell after the 2007 to 2009 recession and remained at a reduced level until this year. For the millions of Americans who rely on 401ks and IRAs for their retirement security, such a crash could force many to delay retirement or return to work in their golden years. The Employee Benefit Research Institute estimates that the median 401k balance for individuals aged 55 to 64 was $89,716 in 2019. An 80% decline would reduce this to just $17,943, leaving many retirees and near retirees in financial distress. In 2023, the percentages owning stock ranged from highs of 84% of adults in households earning $100,000 or more and about 8 in 10 college graduates and postgraduates to a low of 29% of those in households earning less than $40,000. The ripple effects of a stock market crash of this magnitude would extend far beyond individual portfolios. Consumer spending, which accounts for approximately 70% of U.S. GDP, would likely plummet as households grapple with diminished wealth and increased economic uncertainty. This could lead to a severe recession or even a depression, potentially causing widespread job losses and business failures. Dent's predictions for the housing market are equally dire. He forecasts a collapse that could see home prices fall by 50% or more, potentially wiping out trillions of dollars in home equity. Dent argues that the current housing market is in a bubble fueled by low interest rates and speculative buying, and that demographic trends point to a long-term decrease in housing demand as the population ages. A housing market crash of this magnitude would have devastating consequences for millions of American homeowners. According to the Federal Reserve, the total value of U.S. residential real estate was $41.2 trillion in the first quarter of 2023. A 50% decline would represent a loss of over $20 trillion in household wealth. For the average homeowner, this could mean falling into negative equity, where the value of their home is less than their outstanding mortgage. The implications of such a housing crash would extend far beyond individual homeowners. The construction industry, which employs millions of Americans, would likely face severe contraction. Local governments, which rely heavily on property taxes for revenue, could face budget crises, potentially leading to cuts in essential services. The banking sector, with trillions of dollars in mortgage loans on its books, could face a wave of defaults and foreclosures, potentially triggering a broader financial crisis reminiscent of 2008. Dent's predictions also extend to other areas of the economy. He forecasts a deflationary period where the prices of goods and services could fall dramatically. While lower prices might seem beneficial on the surface, widespread deflation can be economically destructive. It can lead to a cycle of declining wages, reduced consumer spending, and decreased business investment as people and companies delay purchases in anticipation of even lower prices in the future. Furthermore, Dent predicts a significant strengthening of the U.S. dollar relative to other currencies. While a strong dollar can benefit American consumers by making imports cheaper, it can also harm U.S. exporters by making their products more expensive in foreign markets. This could lead to job losses in manufacturing and other export-oriented sectors of the economy. According to data from the Federal Reserve, the U.S. dollar index, which measures the value of the dollar against a basket of foreign currencies, has risen from a low of 89.44 in January 2021 to 102.258 as of June 2023, an increase of over 15%. While a strong dollar can benefit American consumers by making imports cheaper, it can also harm U.S. exporters by making their products more expensive in foreign markets. This effect is already visible in recent trade data. According to the U.S. Census Bureau, the U.S. trade deficit in goods and services increased to $74.6 billion in March 2023, up $5.6 billion from February. Exports decreased by $5.3 billion, while imports increased by $0.3 billion, illustrating the strong dollar's impact on the trade balance. This trend could lead to job losses in manufacturing and other export-oriented sectors of the economy. The manufacturing sector, which is particularly sensitive to currency fluctuations, employed 11.3 million workers as of May 2023. A study by the Economic Policy Institute found that a 10% U.S. dollar appreciation linked to global financial market forces decreases economic output by 1.9% after 1 year, and this drag lingers for 2.5 years. The cumulative effect of these predicted crashes in stocks, real estate, and other asset classes could be a period of economic turmoil unlike anything seen in living memory. To put this in perspective, during the Great Depression, U.S. GDP fell by 30% between 1929 and 1933, and the unemployment rate peaked at 24.9% in 1933. For the average American, the consequences of such a scenario would be profound and far-reaching. Beyond the immediate impact on personal wealth and retirement savings, a prolonged economic downturn could lead to widespread unemployment, reduced income prospects, and diminished quality of life. The social fabric of communities could be strained as families struggle with financial hardship, potentially leading to increased crime rates, health issues, and other societal problems. For instance, a study published in the American Journal of Public Health found that suicide rates increased by 6.5% during the Great Recession, with an estimated 4,750 excess suicide deaths attributable to the economic crisis. Critics of Dent's theories point out that his past predictions have not always been accurate. For example, his forecast of a major market crash in 2016 did not materialize. In fact, the S&P 500 index rose by 9.5% in 2016 and has continued to climb since then, reaching record highs in 2021 and 2022. Furthermore, defenders of the current economic system argue that there are stabilizing forces that could prevent or mitigate the kind of collapse Dent predicts. These include the Federal Reserve's ability to intervene in financial markets, government fiscal policies designed to stimulate economic growth, and the resilience and adaptability of American businesses and consumers. For instance, during the COVID-19 pandemic, the Federal Reserve's balance sheet expanded from $4.2 trillion in March 2020 to a peak of nearly $9 trillion in April 2022, demonstrating its capacity for large-scale intervention. Nevertheless, Dent's most extreme predictions serve as a sobering reminder of the potential vulnerabilities in the U.S. economy. The high levels of debt, both public and private, the potential overvaluation of assets, and the demographic shifts he highlights are real issues that could pose significant challenges in the coming years. For individuals concerned about these potential risks, financial experts generally recommend a diversified approach to investing that can help mitigate the impact of market volatility. At a broader level, addressing the issues raised by Dent and other economic critics may require significant policy changes. This could include measures to address income inequality, reform of entitlement programs to ensure their long-term sustainability, and efforts to reduce the national debt. Whether Harry Dent's dire predictions come to pass or not, the issues he raises highlight the need for careful consideration of long-term economic trends and the potential risks they pose to financial stability and prosperity. For the average American, navigating these uncertain economic waters will require a combination of personal financial preparedness, ongoing education about economic issues, and engagement with the political process to advocate for policies that promote long-term economic stability and growth. The road ahead may be challenging, and the risks highlighted by Harry Dent and others are real. As Harry Dent's chilling predictions cast a long shadow over the American economic landscape, the specter of a catastrophic crash looms ever closer, threatening to obliterate trillions in wealth and plunge millions into financial ruin. With the potential for an 80% stock market collapse, housing market implosion, and a deflationary spiral that could last for years, Americans stand on the precipice of an economic abyss so deep and treacherous that it could fundamentally reshape society for generations to come, leaving no aspect of life untouched by its devastating wake. If you like this video, hit the like button and help us spread the word. And don't forget to subscribe to get notifications on our latest news and analysis. In the meantime, check out one of these videos here to learn more. Thanks for watching.